Hello, and welcome to episode 66 of Things I've Learned from Barry Harris. Today I thought we would talk about what Barry refers to as the tritones minor and how we can create lines using it. But before we start, I just wanted to bring to everybody's attention that I've started a Patreon page under Things I've Learned from Barry Harris. So if you enjoy the content and you'd like to support it, there's 3 tiers on there that you could look through. So I'll leave a link in the description and probably in the comment section. But anyway, tritones minor. So we've been talking about lines going from pretty things to play on D7, pretty things to play on G major, pretty ways to play D7 into G major. So the rule for the tritones minor is this: the tritone of D7 is A flat 7. And Barry talks about the 3 important arpeggios on every dominant. And the 3 important arpeggios for D7 would be the one from the root, D major, the one from the 5th, which is A minor, and the one from the flat 7th, which is C major. Now the tritone is A flat 7, so the important arpeggios are still from the root, which would be A flat major, from the flat 7th, which would be G flat major, and then this is the important one. Well, not more important, but this is the one we're going to discuss today, which is from the 5th, which would be E flat minor. So that is what we're going to focus on today, in creating lines going from tritones minor to the 1 chord, which in this case will do G major. So the first thing I would do is say, okay, where are the closest notes from E flat minor to G major? So the first one, E flat, you could move down to the 5th of G, which is D. So this is nice. The next note, or you could have moved up to the 6th. Beautiful. Next one is the flat 3rd of the E flat minor, which is the G flat, and the G flat moves to G nicely. Or the G flat also moves down to the 6th, which is beautiful. Next one is the 5th of the E flat minor, which is B flat. B flat moves up a half step to B, which is pretty. Or it moves down a half step to A, which is pretty. It's like the 9th, or it's part of, you could think of it as part of the D6, which is beautiful. So beautiful resolution. So that's very important to first start. Then the next thing you have to do is think, okay, well, how would I use this in a phrase? So we'll say to ourselves, let's say we're doing a 1-6-2-5 turnaround of 2 beats of everything. Something like that. So let's try the first thing, which is the triad. So let's say, that's nice, I just went up the triad from the E flat. Now let me invert that, let's see what happens. Pretty. All tritones minor. Let's do the one from the, we'll do a triad from the, we'll invert again from the 5th. So let's say, pretty, I resolved on the 6, or you could resolve on the tonic too. That's pretty. Really beautiful. What are some other things we do on minor? Well, we could play the arpeggio. And Barry's arpeggio is a triad with the bottom note repeated on top. So the first one has the E flat repeated on top. The next one has the G flat repeated on top. The next one has the B flat repeated on top. So those are pretty too. So maybe we'll say, so let's say, oh, let me do, that was nice, I went up and down the arpeggio. So pretty. How about if we do a half step below each one of them? So here's E flat minor. That's really pretty. So that was nice. I did a half step below, and then I ended on the ninth, if you want to call it that. Next one, let's see. I'll start on the third. That's pretty. That's pretty too. How about if we start on the fifth, we'll do a half step below that. That's nice. Let's see. Let's see. Pretty. Also, another nice thing is instead of just playing E flat minor triad, you can also play E flat minor 6, which is pretty. So we're going to add the C natural, which is pretty. Now we can invert all those. Really beautiful. Let's try that. That was just coming down. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Pretty. Let's do that's nice. That's pretty. How about if we put a half step? Maybe this will be a nice one. We'll think of E flat minor, the arpeggio coming down from the fifth. But let's start on the sixth and put a half step between 6 and 5, and we'll end on the third. Let's see, 1, 2. Oh, that time I ended on the second. That was pretty too. Let's do a chord up from the 3 after that. Pretty phrase. How about if we put a half step, we'll put a chromatic for the next part of the arpeggio. So we did it from the 5th, now let's do it down from the 3rd. But we'll start on the 4th and we'll put in 1 half step between the 4 and the 3. And we'll end on the tonic. That's a pretty one. Man. Now this is, again, we're thinking tritone, but more specifically, we're just thinking tritones minor and how many different ways we can play on it. Maybe let's go up. That's nice. That was just a chord up from the 6th of the E flat minor. Maybe let's go a chord up from the 5th. That's a nice one. Let's see. Ended on 6th, which is pretty. Or let's go to tonic. Let's see. Let's see. Nice. Really, really pretty. How about if we start from the 3rd? That's a nice one, but let's do it from here. Yeah, so. Pretty. Now that's me just playing the A flat 7's important minor, E flat minor over D7 without even playing D7. Then you have this other thing that you can look at, which is, okay, if I have a little bit of a longer time of D7, let's say if I have a measure of A minor 7 to D7, where I normally look at that as just D7, I could still play a really long A flat 7 over that whole thing. It's going to sound fine. Or I could play a little bit of D7 and then maybe run it into A flat 7. So let's say if I did, that's a nice one. Let's say, that's nice. So I did a chord up from the 7th of D7, and then I went down a half step, and I came down that E flat minor 6 again from the 5th. So 5th, 3rd, root, 6th. So that's a nice one. So let's see. Let's see. That's nice. I'm just finding little ways to then resolve it to G. But see, now I can even play, let's see, D7 scale. Now I kind of resolved it into A flat 7, but I want to just make it E flat minor. So let's see. That was nice. I came down. I should have done, let's see, something of that way, but I'm trying to use the E flat minor every time, not even worried about thinking A flat 7 as much as I'm thinking that E flat minor, that important tritones minor. So that's another way to think about it, where you're thinking about, okay, I'm going to think E flat minor after I've already thought a little bit of D7. So now, here's an interesting one. D7's important minor is A minor. So that was me running A minor into E flat minor. So let's see. That's a pretty one. 1, 2. And I just came down the regular A flat 7 scale. So the 5th of G. But that's a pretty one. That's running A minor into E flat minor. So now I'm doing a little bit of the D7, which was the A minor, the important minor on the 5th, and then I'm running it right into E flat minor, which is the important minor on the A flat, which is the tritones minor. So we could go all day like this, but anyway, I hope you enjoyed episode 66 of learning how to work on tritones minor. And again, please be sure to check out the Patreon page and donate if you can to keep these going. But until next time, thanks again.